EV Comply, simplifying your charge point installations.
Here we go again. Another week, another podcast. It's Friday the 24th of February. Let's see what's been happening this week in this very busy industry. Great news to start with this week. Thousands of new electric vehicle charge points are to be installed across England. The Department for Transport has announced 2,400 new charging devices will be created in 16 council areas, including Oxfordshire, Norfolk and Cumbria. The latest phase of the local electric vehicle infrastructure scheme is being funded with 56 million public and industry investments. The DfT said it would energise charge point rollout plans. The other councils to have secured funding for the scheme are Buckinghamshire, Hackney, Harborough, Hounslow, Lancashire, Rotherham, Sunderland, Waltham Forest, Warwickshire, West Midlands, West Sussex, West Yorkshire and York. So a lot of people involved and places involved in this. All 16 would also get support to work with private operators to install tens of thousands more charge points in the long term, the DfT added. So if you want to find out more, just check out the levy scheme online. And nicely following on from that, the UK is on track to meet the government's target of 300,000 new electric car chargers by 2030. A transport minister has said they aim to speed up the rollout. Hugh Merriman told MPs that ministers expect at least 300,000 public charge points will be installed across the UK by 2030. He cited a report by New Automotive titled On the Road to 2030, which said charge point rollout is progressing at an adequate pace, growing by a third every 12 months, and the UK is on track to meet the expected 300,000 public chargers by the end of 2030. His comments came during a Westminster Hall debate, during which the government's targets were seriously questioned by MPs across the political spectrum. But of course, with the news that I kickstarted the podcast with, maybe we are on track to hit at least 300,000 public charge points by 2030. Now, I can't say it's something we overly saw coming, but Tesla has undercut the average US car by almost $5,000 in his EV Shakeout. Now, Elon Musk's latest US price drop brings Tesla's electric vehicle premium to a record low, and it's definitely shook up the EV industry. We're now waiting to see where other products and models are going to land. But I suppose if you're a billionaire and you don't necessarily need the profits, you can do what you want. Great for those of you who want to get in Teslas, I suppose. So a lot of people are excited about this. Greft EV, an electric vehicle manufacturer out of San Francisco, has announced its new electric motorcycle, the EO12. It's now open for orders. It's described by Greft as a world first in its use of carbon wheels on a dirt bike. In terms of performance, it produces 25 kilowatts or 34 horsepower, but weighs only 50 kilograms, including the 2.7 kilowatt battery, which can be charged in 1.5 hours with the 220V 15A charger, which comes with the bike. Now, Greft believes it's making the EO12 the electric off-road motorcycle with the highest power to weight ratio. The top speed of the bike is claimed by Greft to be 50 miles per hour, while the quote maximum ride time on a single charge is 3 hours, although this can vary depending on riding style and of course terrain. The Greft EO12 is available in two variants. You've got a standard model and a factory team version, which comes with improved performance, VibraCore lightweight handlebars and a titanium bolt kit. Prices for the Greft EO12 begin at around £8,500 and can run up to anywhere around $12,500. Now that's in dollars, so around £10,400 a time here in the UK. Obviously this depends on your setup and your battery size. You can pick your model, you can modify, but roughly those are the prices. A new study led by the University of Delaware Research has collaborated with the university and Georgia Tech to suggest that range anxiety tends to be misplaced, and cheaper vehicles are often perfectly suitable to people's needs. Now, the team analysed data from 333 petrol-driven cars over a period of between 1 and 3 years, then examined how those driving patterns could have been handled by EV vehicles of various battery sizes and recharging power. The research concluded that for around 30% of the driving population, EVs with smaller batteries, along with community charging, are more than enough for their needs, and range anxiety really is over-egged. I think it's obvious with range anxiety, it's just the unknown, isn't it? And once everyone's in it and you've got a handle on your vehicle, hopefully that will subside. Garages that adapt to growing demand for electric vehicles will benefit from first mover advantage by positioning themselves as the go-to EV experts in their local area. That's the view of bookmygarage.com, which said opportunities for servicing will grow in the lead up to the government's 2030 ban on the sale of new ICE vehicles. As ICE vehicle drivers begin to move over to EVs in the coming years and the infrastructure of the UK for electric vehicles on the road continues to improve, opportunities for EV qualified garages will grow rapidly. Garages that are not qualified to service EVs will miss out on vital business and be faced with a shrinking market, said Jessica Potts, who is head of marketing at bookmygarage.com. So it may feel a little premature, but probably worth if you are a garage owner to get that facility under your belt. Chinese lithium prices fall by 30% as demand for electric vehicles weakens. The cost of clean energy's white gold, as it's called, still 8 times higher than what it was a year ago. Prices have dropped by 29% since November, meaning the highs now are around $61,795 per tonne. Now, this is according to the pricing agency Fastmarkets, driven by concerns over the strength of EV demand in Asia's largest economy. There has been persistent weakness in China, said Jordan Roberts, who is a lithium analyst. The market is waiting to see the impact from the reduced new energy vehicle and is concerned by low household confidence, which is tied to the country's property crisis. Lithium prices rocketed from mid-2021 as breakneck growth in the EV sales prompted a scramble among automakers and battery manufacturers for the metal nicknamed white gold for its importance to the clean energy industry. But waning Chinese demand has raised doubts over how tight the lithium market will be this year, dragging down prices elsewhere in the world as well as shares of lithium producers. Now, following on from that, new plants dedicated to easier to produce EVs could make older ICE facilities redundant. There is a growing concern about excess capacity in vehicle production. Excess capacity has been the bane of the industry for decades, as every vehicle manufacturer has competed to stay ahead of its rivals, with a focus on too many plants. Manufacturers in Europe, North America and Japan levelled off in the early 2000s by maintaining an adequate production and sales balance to keep profits high. Additional competitors, first from South Korea and later China, have boosted global production capacity and put pressure on profits around the world. Hyundai Kia has developed into a global powerhouse and reached a level where production remains in the profitable range. The bigger problem, though, has come from China, where dozens of new manufacturers attempted to take their share of the quickly growing local market. So, possibly with this in mind, Ford has now partnered with LG Energy Solution to build one of Europe's largest EV battery plants. Ford signed into an MOU to establish a new joint venture on Tuesday with LG Energy Solution and KOC Holding. The JV plans to build one of Europe's largest commercial EV battery cell facilities with up to 45 GWh in potential annual production capacity. So Porsche have made a bold statement this week. They're saying a lot of electric vehicles today offer what's known as a one-pedal driving feature, which basically means the electric motor kicks in as a generator as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, slowing down the car and adding energy back into the battery, increasing the range without actually plugging into a charger. But Porsche, who makes the Taycan EV, has said that it isn't very efficient in the long term, and they're claiming there are better ways to go further with an electric car, and that's by coasting as much as possible. I bet you weren't expecting me to say that, were you? Now let's hear them out. They're claiming when coasting, the electric motors disengage for reduced drag, allowing the car to carry along without using barely any energy. Porsche says this is the more natural process of allowing the vehicle to continue to roll unpowered. This is a more efficient way of driving because it keeps the kinetic energy in the vehicle, said Martin Rischnecker, who is the senior manager chassis tester at Porsche Engineering, and that is a title and a half. And finally, VW are using a very unique way of transferring workers over to EVs with less anxiety. They are in fact using escape rooms, as in the rooms you go in and you have to try and escape by solving puzzles. Now, VW workers are being tasked with solving riddles related to electricity and battery technology in order to find clues and then move to the next room. Now, Volkswagen is asking employees to complete an escape room experience with collaborative games and puzzles. They reckon it will ease anxiety over job security in the shift to electric cars. First up are around 1,200 employees that are assigned to work on the electric ID3 model, slated to start production during the second half of this year. For many, it's a totally new thing that the combustion engine will not be there anymore, and we have to train people for a high voltage environment, they've said. In teams of 4, employees need to solve riddles as they move through spaces themed on electricity and battery technology, moving from an 1860s living room to present day, and then future scenarios requiring tech skills to crack codes and find clues in lockers. Now, I mean, this sounds like a script for a brand new Back to the Future film, doesn't it? So that's it. You're now in the EV Know for this week. I'll be back with you next Friday. From everybody here at EV Comply, we hope you have a fantastic weekend, and do be sure to check out our website ev-comply.com to see how we could help you to streamline your installations.